Hi, welcome to our first proper lesson. I will be improvising a pencil sketch and walking you through the elements and supplies we will be using. Our go-to guys, the pencils. All of these pencils are Bs. B, like this one. This is a 6B label here. B stands for bold. Other pencils are labeled H, that stands for hard. H and B, hard and bold, tell you the amount of graphite contained in the lead. When sketching, we always want to use Bs. At least one of these guys, which is a 2B, 2B up to 9B. Why of pencils? Because they are much more sensitive to our hand pressure, the speed of our movements, and the angle of our grip. And as you know, iron sharpens iron, and we need some to put our go-to guys in shape. We have this, you are very familiar with, a regular sharpener, a precision knife, a precision cutter, and another blade, a more sturdy regular cutter, and a sandpaper, an art paper. You could always use a regular sandpaper, which of course would be much cheaper. And each one of these offers you a different result in your stroke. I will be sharpening each one of these pencils with each one of these guys. So let's get started with our sharpener. I am using this tray, this jar tip, to collect the wooden smithereens. And you see a nice point edge we have here, which is fit to do some work like this, a very sharp and precise line sketch, such as the one I'll be doing now. Let's do a tree. Sweet, quick, smooth. I am enjoying the smoothness of the lead. You noticed I began the figure from bottom to top. That's very important. I'll get again to that later on. And that's the kind of traits we are getting with this. It's a very sturdy, strong 8B, which I really like. I like strokes which are as close to ink as possible, but that's just me. Next in line is our sturdy cutter. I'll use it on the 6B. Most pencils have an hexagonal wooden case, and that is actually handy when sharpening with a knife or a cutter, because inciting with the blade against the flat face actually is much easier than inciting against the angle, and that is helpful when we want to expose the lead, as I am doing now. Yeah, that almost will do. I am not convinced here. That's better. And that's it. I have exposed the pencil's lead. Now, why would I want to do that? I'll explain you right away. So I've shown you this previously made drawing, and I've improvised this tree, both of them with sharpened point, like hard point, like this one. But what if I wanted to do something like this or this? That's when I need to expose the lead, because then, rather than just using a tiny amount of the surface of graphite, I can broaden this You see? And if I want this to be even broader, that's when I want to use this guy, the sandpaper. What am I going to do? I'm going to push this, let's say in a 30-degree angle this time. We will be playing with this a lot later. And you see the profile of the lead now. Now I can do this. Broader stroke. And if I kept going, it will become broader and broader and broader. Potentially, I can expose the whole lead and work with this as if it were a brush. However, in that case, it would be much better just to buy some graphite bar. And finally, when we repent of our sins and we want to take things back, we have these two guys which may help us. This is just a regular eraser. However, they don't do quite the same. Let us see. This kind of eraser was built to work on H pencils, on hard pencils when you're doing technical drawing. This, which is called a plastic eraser or just a putty rubber, that's very British term, was conceived to work on more tinting, softer media. Not only like this. Not only graphite, but also charcoal, wax colors, and even pastel. It works, it has some effectivity on pastels. What I like a lot about this is that you see it's like Play-Doh, kind of Play-Doh. And this is very helpful because you can use it when you're working on a big surface. You can use it to erase large areas, and when doing lighting studies, that's very helpful. Also, you can turn this with your fingers into a very, very fine point, and you can just erase when you want to go back to a white thin line. And that's the reason why I'd recommend to use this, which is of course a bit more expensive, but nothing you should be worrying about. Now we're getting finally to the best part, I hope, where I will be improvising my pencil sketch. And I will seize this opportunity to tell you about the importance of your grip, which I will hopefully also put on display. Now, the most important about our grip is the distance to the drawing point. The closer we get to the drawing point, we get precision. However, as you can see, my range of motion is also very limited. The farther I get from the drawing point, I gain range, and it certainly becomes harder to be precise. However, an accomplished draughtsman and an accomplished artist can manage to keep his precision, his or her precision, no matter the distance, such as muralists. They would be using 2-meter brushes and they would still be precise, at least on a large scale. Now, another important aspect before we start drawing is to consider the movement, the range of movement of our body, which gives our tool its movement. I move my fingers, just my fingers, then I move my wrist, I move my forearm, and then I move my whole arm with my shoulder. And I am not going to do that now, but I could also take a step back and forth, side to side, and I could develop a much wider movement. And the idea is to get our body progressively more involved. I like to hold my tool in a balance point in the middle most of the time. My 4 fingers on my thumb, or just the half, cutting it into half, my 2 fingers and my thumb. And I always try to keep my arm parallel to the plane, to the drawing plane, especially when working with lines. So let's get a horse down over here. Notice my movements are definite in this case, are secure and paused. And that would be it for the first one. A second basic movement and grip you want to practice is holding your pencil almost at the tail and holding it at approximately a 30-degree angle against your drawing surface. And this way, you can develop what I've come to call over the years a sedimentary line. That means a line that accumulates, and it is ideal to make proportion sketches. And it also gives you the possibility to exploit as much as possible the shades, the shade range of the pencil, because here you notice it's very, very light, but incrementing my pressure can suddenly turn it into a much stronger stroke. And this movement with my wrist, especially when working in a little surface like a sketchbook, allows me to go from one angle, one corner of my plane, right to the other corner of my plane with a single movement. And that's something very important. We want to economize with our movements. Let's put our second grip and movement into practice. Maybe I'll insist on this page. And let's do another horse. You notice in this case, I am becoming more of an explorer. My strokes are not definitive. See if here I am looking for the right proportion. And once I have a guidance, once I have a skeleton that makes me feel sure and secure enough, I start putting the pressure on. And here I have corrected 3 times this leg. When doing this kind of exercises, that is what we want. We don't want to erase this, because this is teaching us. This is the evidence that we are measuring. We are actually comparing. You shall not think of this as masterpieces which will be one day hanging from the walls of museums, but it's your learning experience, and that's what counts right now. I'm getting it. This movement also allows me, is not the same as this movement allows me for some ambiguity in my tracing. Allows me even for some tone. Let's not call it shading yet, just tone. And you see I'm using the length of the lead here to build some volume. Keeping it soft always. It's important not to get desperate, not to start. If you start a drawing like this, holding like this, you have to end it like this. So you have to be absolutely sure of what you're doing. If you want to take your time and, as I said, explore, this sketch grip is ideal. And I am correcting here over my first position, the eye. And that's what it's all about. I think it is easy to get how to practice what we have looked at here today. However, a very important note I want still to underline is having a sketchbook which you feel comfortable with on its size and you can take almost anywhere, so that you can draw and draw and draw and draw and draw, not just every day, but almost everywhere you go. And the final note would be to practice also from the living models. Our goal now is illustration art, of course, but while it is very important and very commendable that you keep learning from the models, the examples you like from art, it is also very important to learn from the models nature offers you. If you look at a girl, a boy, at a cat, at everything, a cloud, everything, the world is just wonderful. Try practicing directly also from nature's models. That would be your real master.